Celebrate living, celebrate misery. You know that soon we're gonna die. Let's have some fun while we all die.
What's up, guys? Merry Christmas. It is December 25th in the year 2017, and this is that Christmas time. You know, some places they don't even have Christmas when you think about it. Hell. Good luck in hell, dude. Maybe you get Easter. Some other places, they probably don't have it. Deep in space. Underwater. People in a coma. So I think it's that time of year when I want to think, you know, that I'm pretty fortunate to have a holiday like this where you can get together with others and even get together with yourself, crack into a little bit of yourself. You know, sometimes you got to twist that top off of yourself and see if you spoiled or not. And that's what I think this time is here, Christmas time. You know, a time to really just check in with yourself. Ask your heart if it's still working. Because you still got a lot of time to kill out here in the universe. Merry Christmas to you guys. I am currently in Natchez, Mississippi, and I just had a little bit of prime rib. So if I sound, you know, like I got other animals' bodies in me, that's because I've had some prime rib, and that shit was rare. You know, I was at a house party with some family friends, and sometimes you get in that meat line. And, you know, it wasn't like a buffet where you get there and you get to pick your meat. Because if I pick my own meat, yeah, I get a meat I want. But sometimes when you're just cruising along in the meat line and you get up there, it means that you're going to get what meat you get. You know, you get what meat you get. And I got a piece of rare meat. I mean, this thing, halfway through it, I thought I could have been a veterinarian. I wasn't sure, you know, what side of the realm I was living on, if I was dining or if I was, you know, maybe in the fourth year of some type of veterinarian school where you actually get to slice into the animals, because I had some rare meat. But I'm out here in Natchez, Mississippi, and I'm coming to you today from Sharp Sound Design Studios here. I got a nephew that's in this band called Bishop Gunn, and I'll put some of their hits on as we get into the next year. But he has a studio here in Natchez, Mississippi, down here on the water. And it's a really beautiful spot. And so I'm just fortunate to be here. I had to crack into here because the place I'm staying at doesn't have internet. You know, they don't have the World Wide Web. Not every place does. It's almost like a little Ethiopia out here in Mississippi. And they don't have it. And so I had to drive here into town. And we got into this studio. And it's pretty cool to be here. And to be here with you guys today. I want to thank everybody for a wonderful year. You know, I want to thank our charter sponsor, Gray Block Pizza. You know, and if you feel your tongue around in your mouth and you feel a lot of extra space in your mouth, then maybe what you need is a little bit of pie, a little bit of pizza pie, some Italian style. Maybe you need to fill your jowls with that marinara on crust and queso. You know, you need to get that pizza. You need to get that hitter. And you can do that at grayblockpizza.com. You know, I've had a wonderful experience so far here on Christmas. I got to spend time with my family. You know, it's Christmas Eve right now, technically. You know, so some of you guys will hear this on Christmas Day. And we did Christmas at my family's house yesterday. And my sister lives out there in Santa Ma, Louisiana. And it's a good place to get, you know, mediumly educated. Good place to meet an animal. If you ever wanted to get to know an animal on a first name basis. Got to spend some time at her house, and they had two bunnies. One of them is a show bunny, and one of them is just, you know, a bunny that's not really trying to be a model or trying to be fancy. It actually had some congestion, and I put a picture of it on my Instagram. It had, one of the bunnies was dealing with some congestion, but it was nice to be around animals and just around family. And we had a really nice time out there, had some donuts. My stepfather was out there, and he was in the war. And so he talks about that a lot of bit because he got dementia. And it's pretty wild. When dementia gets into your brain, dementia is basically, it's like the enemy. And dementia's like, you know, that kid in school that didn't study, didn't do any homework, never knew what the fuck was going on, never had any books, never had any pencils, you know, never washed his hair, sometimes had body lice, that sort of stuff. That's kind of like what dementia is. And that person starts living inside of your head, and you slowly start to become that person when you're a senior citizen. And that's something that my stepdad was going through, and he was, you know, talking a lot about being in the war and stuff like that. But the best you can do usually if somebody has that is, you know, hold their hand or, you know, talk to them about the war a little bit, maybe give them some donuts. You know, you can offer to give them beer, but don't give them beer, or liquor, but don't even give them liquor. So we had a nice time over there. And then I came up into Mississippi today. I got some other family up here, and I used to work on a farm up here when I was younger. I used to work on a soybean and corn and cotton farm. And and my buddy of mine, a good friend of mine who I worked on his farm, he passed away years ago. But he has a couple of children up here, and I come up here on Christmas Eve, and we spend time together. So we had a really, you know, just a nice time. Went to church today, went to a 3:00 mass. I didn't know they had that. You know, that afternoon mass, it's kind of like the same time. Like if you've ever been to the grocery store at midnight, it's kind of the same type of clientele, you know. A lot of risque sisters and, you know, a lot of troubled brothers and risque sisters in there, you know, looking for the Lord. Because you know something's going on if you come looking for the Lord in the afternoon. Well, we had a nice time at the church today, so that was pretty beautiful. And, you know, just getting to just feel the joy of being around other people. You know, and that's one of the things that I was just reminded of is just quit thinking sometimes and just be where I am. You know, when I get that urge to go look at my phone, just to let that urge go and just instead just reach out and, you know, touch somebody that's close to me as long as I know them and as long as legally I'm able to touch them. And that's just what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm going to try to do tomorrow. And a little bit more this Christmas holidays is just slow it down. You know, hit that slow button, hit that pause, and get that. And it's been a good year, and I thank you guys so much. I thank all of my Patreoners. I'm going to put a video up later on on YouTube only of the time I spent with my family, so you guys will be able to check in and get to meet a little bit of them. It was hard to record because it's so loud in there, especially with animals and people interacting, because animals don't know that it's Christmas. You know, sometimes you see an animal and you're like, oh, yeah, that animal knows that it's, you know, Halloween, or that animal knows that it's leap year. But if you think that, that's honestly, and not to, you know, throw stones at you, but that's bullshit. That's crazy. And it was just, you know, when you got a lot of people with dementia and you got animals and you got a lot of children running around, it's joyous, but it's a tough time to record something where you can hear everybody artfully and good. But I'll do what I can with that video and put it up on YouTube later on Christmas Day. What else? You know, I had a pheasant earlier for dinner. Next to that prime rib, I had a little bit of a pheasant. And man, this thing, the meat is so small on a pheasant. I just seen that movie Downsizing last night with Matt Damon, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But this pheasant seemed like, you know, if you ever had a pheasant, you feel, I don't want to say you feel like a pervert, but, you know, you almost want to check you know, like you almost want to get consent from its parents before you even eat it. Because that thing, it comes in a little, you feel like you shouldn't really be getting to know it as well as you're getting to know it if you ever had a pheasant. So that was tough to get through. It was tough to get through as a young man, you know, especially these days where you don't even know how you can talk to someone of the other, you know, how you're going to relate to the opposite sex. And, you know, you just want to be careful in these days and tread softly. It was a little, you know, I felt a little risque eating that pheasant, you know, and I felt almost at one point like I should put a little prophylactic on my tongue, you know, because it's just, I don't know. If you haven't had one, you don't know what I'm talking about. If you have had one, then you're right here with me. That they should put something, you know, in the future, I would like to know that these pheasants are, you know, at least 19, 20 years old, at least, or 25 or 30 years old. So if I eat them in the future, I'm going to, try and do a little bit more background history, a background search on some of these, novice birds that I'm putting into my gullet. I'm putting into my face, especially here, on Jesus' birthday. So that's it. I'm not going to do a long cast today, guys, and it's because it's your Christmas too, and it's we're out here together, and I'm trying not to. One thing about Christmas, sometimes I get so many texts, and I feel responsible to give out so many texts, and that just becomes. You can spend half your day on your phone just responding to people and replying to people. It's almost like you don't even get to enjoy, the essence of the peace that's presented to us sometimes at this time of year. So I'm going to try to do that a little bit more over these next couple of days, and especially on tomorrow. I saw that movie Downsizing. The first 38 minutes of it, phenomenal. I'm a big Matt Damon fan. And the first 38 minutes of that film, man, it will make you want to it'll make you pet your own eyebrows. That shit is just straight joy into your face. But after that, it got real ambitious, and it turned into a PSA on not only on climate change, but on how we live in the world and poverty. And, it had some great ideas, but it was just way too much. It was supposed to just be like a fun movie about getting small. And suddenly it was this heavy movie that was very confusing. And so if you're, planning to go see it, I would wait. I'd wait till it comes out on something that's a little more easily to view it on. And then I would split that cost with somebody else who's curious about it. Or just watch the first 38 minutes and make up your own ending. That's what we did. We went to the film and we saw it there. And then we kind of decided to think about how would we, view the film differently. Or how would we, a new ending that we would come up with. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I just, it was the only movie that I've walked out of. And one of the things was I was about to walk out, and then some other people walked out. And to me, those people in my mind, being judgmental, I was like, those people look dumb. And if they're dumb and they're walking out, then I felt dumb for staying. I felt even dumber. So, that just shows you where my head was at anyway. Just sitting there, stuck in judgment and stuck in weird shit in the middle of the night in the movie theater. But I'm glad I wasn't spraying out in there. I'm glad I wasn't doing nothing perverse. One time, man, I met a damn, I've made some poor choices in some of these theaters. But, but that's the past, and we're moving onward. But I want to thank you guys for just being a part of the podcast this year. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And I hope that you, if you feel a moment in your heart today or tomorrow or this week during the holidays to reach out to somebody or to reach across the room and hug somebody extra or to fucking shake a little motherfucker in the neck a little, or to just take somebody's pulse. Sometimes that's the most sexy thing you can do is just walk up to somebody. A family member, a loved one, even a child that's healthy, and that's not, that you don't have any interest in, and just take their pulse, Just put your hand on that artery and just feel their life in them. Get that hitter right off their neck, and that's free. Just remind yourself what you're on earth with. Other humans, other people out here living life and doing things. Because that's what it is, man. I feel like in the end, when it comes down to it and they roll you down into that hole, or they, a couple people, throw you out in a hole or whatever burial you're going to get, that you probably are reaching up, wishing you had just one last touch. Somebody sings a song, I think it's just called, I'm Just Looking for Some Touch. And that's, I really think that's what we're all looking for. So I wish that everybody has a wonderful holiday. I wish you keep your heart open. Keep your head open and touch somebody. Take somebody's pulse. Touch somebody's neck. If you are, touch somebody's nuts or crotch, if you're with them like that. If you have that connection, be a part of somebody's life. Just get it out of your body. If you got to get something out of your body, you got to get that feeling of joy out of you. Legally, get it out of you. Because this is the time of year to do it. This is that last week of the year. This is that run up to the new year. This is the finish line. So finish this thing strong, solid. Finish this thing with your heart open. Finish this thing popping off, setting off. Don't be, getting up early to jerk off, or don't be, doing a bunch of pills or popping Percocets out there. Take care of yourself. Love somebody that needs to be loved. Love yourself. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Because, man, we all struggle, and I'm not preaching at you, but I'm preaching with you. I'm trying to be here in your corner. And it's Christmas, man. And if you see a kid loving that Christmas boy, make it even more lovable for him. Put a little chocolate on, put a little chocolate on somebody's neck or back. When I was young and, we didn't have a lot of money, and my mother would put chocolate on us, just like on our shoulders. And the big thing was to try to lick the chocolate off of each other's shoulders when we were children. And it was like a free game that we could play. It only cost my mother about $1.50 to get that bottle of chocolate sauce. And we'd get all, we'd just get them chocolate shoulders going on. And just running around just trying to lick each other's shoulders. We were all family, most of us, except sometimes some neighbor kids. But we were close enough where there wasn't nothing wrong about it. We were just enjoying each other's company. So, it's nice to have those memories and share those memories with your loved ones. If you ever had something special happen during the holidays, share it with a loved one. Don't keep it inside. If you got something pretty sitting inside, you let that bird out and let that bird land in somebody else's cage for a little bit. That's all you got to do to let it loose. I promise you that thing will land. Whatever that bird is, a story, a moment, a feeling, a memory, a touch, a promise, an apology. Let that bird out. Let that bird land somewhere. I promise you it will. All right, man. Thank you guys for being with me on this Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah to you. Happy holidays. Happy everything. Whatever you like. Or if you're agnostic or you're atheist, look, and you want to be out there freestyling, go on. Get out there. But I'll see you on the other side, man, or I won't. But if I get to that other side, I'm going to send you a little message, something naughty. I might put a little bit of a thumbtack in your Reese cup or something wild like that to let you know that I'm out there, because I'm going on, man. I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here stagnant. I'm going on. When I go, I'm going on, onward. All right, man. Merry Christmas. Be good to yourselves. You probably deserve it. And I will, I'll see you guys next episode. Thank you so much. Also have to get in this ad one more time. We have one for Livetree. Livetree, you can check it out. If you're tired of watching films like I saw, downsizing, they're no good, we can change it. The future of films is in the hands of the consumer. You pick who's in it. You pick who directs it. You pick what happens to it. It's the fantasy football of film work, and it's all starting at livetree.com. Check it out now. See what they're doing. See what's going on. See what the future can look like and how you can be a part of it. With that ad out of the way, thank you guys so much for your support, and I love you, man. I'm trying to anyway. Fuck, sometimes I don't know what I'm trying to do, but I am trying, and I'm not going to stop that part of it. All right, be good. Bye bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jonathan Kite, and welcome to Kite Club, a podcast where I'll be sharing thoughts on things like current events, stand-up stories, and 7 ways to pleasure your partner. The answer may shock you. Sometimes I'll interview my friends. Sometimes I won't. And as always, I'll be joined by the voices in my head.
You have 3 new voice messages.
A lot of people are talking about Kite Club. I've been talking about Kite Club for so long, longer than anybody else. So great.
Hey, sweetheart, here's the deal. Anyone who doesn't listen to Kite Club is a dodgy bloody wanker. Do you know what I mean?
Hi, I'll take a quarter pounder with cheese and a McFlurry.
Sorry, sir, but our ice cream machine is broken.
No!
I think Tom Hanks just butt-dialed me. Anyway, first rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Second rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Third rule, like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch us on YouTube, yeah? And yes, don't worry, my Brad Pitt impression will get better.
You hear that, guys, huh? Good morning. Good morning, guys. It's Monday, December 26th. It's a day after Christmas. That's George Michael. That's George Michael right there, guys. Remember that one, huh? I want your sex. Oh. You like I, you know, oh, man. George Michael, dead at 53, I think it is. Good morning, guys. It's this past weekend, December 26th is Monday. Sad to see that, man. That made me. How are you feeling? How do you feel about it? Did it hit you? You know, different celebrities, different musicians, especially, they hit you. Sometimes you're not expecting it. Like Prince. Yeah, Prince, obviously, like amazing, once in a lifetime type of entertainer. But I didn't realize George Michael. I started getting all these thoughts and feelings. I used to listen to him on the school bus. I remember that was one of the first songs that I heard, man. Was George Michael on the school bus right there. Don't need no Bible, just look in my eyes. And I remember that song when it came on. I felt, I'd be on a school bus, and honestly, I'd be a little bit erect. You know, I was young, and I was spry and real sprung in the veins, and I was getting erect on the school bus, listening to George Michael, and I felt ashamed. I remember feeling ashamed. Like, what are you doing, you little sinner, And that song would come on, I want your sex, and I would look at the girl sitting across from me, on some frumpet, little muppet girl, kind of Rubenesque, thick and just a pale girl, I remember, and big sunglasses. She needed eyeglasses, but her parents couldn't afford them, and so they gave her sunglasses. I'm like, Jesus, I don't think that's an accurate replacement, I mean, she basically looks like she's in the witness protection program. Now, not only is her vision bad, but, but she looks like a California raisin. Anyway, but I remember that song, I Want Your Sex. And I just remember just pushing myself up against the window, just scared to even look around. And I remember making eye contact with her when that song was on one time, and just felt every feeling you could feel as a young man. Felt everything, man. I felt everything. I felt like she and I had a moment. I don't know, it was heavy. It was heavy. That's all I remember, is that it was heavy. Good to see you guys Monday. Happy day after Christmas, man. Christmas happened. Christmas happened this past weekend. What else? George Michael gone. Fake news. Fake news is still out there, huh? What else? I was looking at the headlines this morning. Giraffes may disappear, they said. Giraffes. We might be almost out of giraffes. So that's really alarming, Just the fact that we thought these giraffes would be here forever. But let's get into it, man. This past weekend, my Christmas, what was it like? Friday, I went to New Orleans to hang out with some friends. I had a friend who's a DJ. We went to the Rusty Nail over there in New Orleans. I went to a buddy of mine from high school. He's a contractor now. He and his brother, they had what was it? Oh, they had a Christmas party. So I stopped by there. It was good to see them, catch up, share old stories, things I didn't remember. And my buddy's straight, his brother's gay. But it reminded me, his brother was the first gay guy I ever knew about. I'd never thought about that before. And it didn't, it doesn't matter now. And I don't think it mattered to anybody then, but it was just, it was a novel thing. It was like the first time that I heard about a Chinese boy. I'd never spent any time, didn't know any Chinese people. So I remember that they might have talked about this last week. Even they had a Chinese boy, allegedly, about 17 miles away from us when I was growing up. And we heard about it. We got wind of it. We were downwind from the Chinese, apparently. And so we saved up money, me and two of my buddies. We saved up money, cutting yards, made us a little bit of money, and got a taxi. We got a $41 taxi to go see the Chinese. But there was no Chinese. It was a laundromat, one of those, cleaners. Somebody built a cleaners and just, a breakdown in communication via humans. And that was how, when it got to us at 11 years old, there was an alleged Chinese person. And there's nothing wrong with being Chinese if you're out there and you're uber liberal and you can't stand somebody saying the name of an ethnicity. But we'd never heard about it. We didn't know anything about it. We were children. And we grew up in a white and black area. So when we heard there's a Chinese person, a boy too, they said. There was a little bit of lore there, legend. There was a Chinese boy. If you hear some people in the background, it could be, I'm staying at my brother's house. I'm actually in he and his wife's closet right now, recording this. So the kids could be fighting or crying or loving or being loving in the background. That is an option. So, but anyway, what was I even talking about? Yeah, I went to New Orleans, hang out with some friends. But yeah, my buddy, the contractor, he and his brother are contractors. They had he was the first gay guy that we ever knew about, And there was all, the way they phrased it, oh yeah, but he does his own thing. Oh, that's right, he's doing his own thing. Oh, he's really, he's an adventurer. Just the terms you would hear, like just crazy. Anyway, those were that's what I did Friday, I believe. I went to that. Actually, that was Saturday. That was Friday. It was Friday. I went there to New Orleans. We just had Stassi Schroeder on our podcast on Allegedly. It'll be coming out tomorrow. The girl from Vanderpump Rules. If you're a Stassi Schroeder fan, you can check her out on our podcast on Allegedly, which drops tomorrow, Tuesday, the 27th. But she's from New Orleans, so texted her, see if she wanted to, come out or she's in town. Didn't get a response. No response. Sometimes you don't get responded to, and even though I wasn't doing it sensually, it does, it makes you as a man, you want to get a response from the ladies. I could text my grandmother. If she doesn't text back with that oyster dressing recipe of hers that I'm asking for, then I'm upset. I'm upset about that. So, I didn't get a text back, but that's okay, busy ladies. These ladies are busy. Especially these fancy ladies, a lot of them, they can get a little busy. But that's okay. I'm just kind of clowning around there. But she's on our podcast. If you like Vanderpump Rules, if that's your universe, if that's what you watch, or if your wife makes you watch that at night and you pretend like you don't like it, but you like it, she's going to be on Allegedly tomorrow. I got into it with her, man. I asked her some questions, she's a beautiful girl, so I asked her some questions, about sensuality, asking her about some of her sexual thoughts and practices, just kind of what she's into, if she's, because, girls are into, so anyway, we get a little sensual on there if you want to check out Allegedly. I'm going to drop some dates on you coming up. I got the Virginia Beach Funny Bone, January 26th through 29th. And then the following weekend, I got the Improv in Chicago. It's actually out in Schaumburg, Illinois, February 2nd through the 4th. So that's exciting. As well, if you do art, I'm looking for somebody to do some cover art for my album. I got a new album that's dropping, 30-pound bag of hamster bones. If you do cover art or you're an artist, inbox me, DM me, slide into my DMs with your artistic talents, with your color pencils. But no, seriously, if somebody wants to design a cover or submit an opportunity to design that, you're welcome to do that. What else? So that was this past weekend. I invited out the Vanderpump Rules girl. I did get a text back from her yesterday, maybe on Christmas, maybe Saturday. I think yesterday I got it. It said, I was at a party, and I was busy, but that she may go out on tomorrow or today, Monday. Today's Monday. What else, man? George Michael, though, huh? Did that get you? Let's. So long, baby, now that we're friends. Just imagine, huh? 11-year-old boy, this comes on the school bus. I want your love. I want your sex. Just a bunch of impoverished kids sitting there staring at each other. Man. I was sprung. I was erect. I will say that. I remember looking out the window and just like, I couldn't see anything. I was looking out the window, but I couldn't see anything. That's how erect I was at that age, 11. And just hearing that, just them say, sex, I want your sex, on the radio. Even though it was a man saying it, I was sprung. I was sprung up. So yeah, Friday I went to New Orleans. I stayed over there. I stayed with my buddy and his girlfriend. They live together now. They had some cats. A couple of cats tried to get at me in the night. One cat I think is black. One of them's mixed. But they was kind of fucking with me in the dark, and that's a little bit challenging. Sleeping in unfamiliar territory, and you got two cats kind of fucking getting at you, Speaking of actually, which kind of brings things full circle right now, I remember getting sensual with this girl up in Philadelphia. That's one of the older cities in America. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Staying at her place and being erect in my sleep. I was actually being erect in my sleep. And she had a cat just swatting at my erection. And I remember waking up to that. And that is startling, dude. If you have not, I'm an animal lover, I guess, but I'm not. It depends on what animals. I've had a storied history with animals, and we'll get into that as, some of these episodes unfold. But, I mean, if you haven't had a cat batting at your erection, I mean, that was... Going after that scratching post, huh? So, yeah, cat batting on my erection. I was a girl in Philadelphia. But that was scary. That was alarming. Another time I remember sharing a bed with this woman, and she had a dog. The dog's name was Kobe. And a huge, big brown dog. It was a Great Dane, and we shared a bed together. And this was right after Kobe Bryant had gotten brought up on those rape charges. And I remember thinking, this is, this could go any way, This could go any way. And she made the dog sleep in the middle of us. That was baffling to me. But again, I respect it. I didn't know. I just met this lady, and this is back when I was, just kind of running around tomcatting. And, that was alarming. And she let me sleep over by her place, and I don't remember if we really got very sensual or anything, but I do remember sharing this bed with her and this Great Dane, Kobe. I don't know if he's still out there, and I wonder what he was thinking while we laid there in the dark. Man, erect. So then Saturday I woke up. I went and visited. I got a condo over there in New Orleans. I know I'm property dropping here, but it had flooding. It had flooding in it from the guy who lived upstairs was leaving his unit. Decided he wanted to take the washing machine with him. Couldn't figure out how to unhook it. Ripped it out of the wall. Just ripped it out of the wall. Just aborted that thing right out of the wall. Broke a pipe in the wall and flooded a bunch of units downstairs. One of those is the place that I own. So we've had to remodel it. But my tenant decided to stick with me. She didn't move out. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I got to stop in and see that place. And it looks really nice. And the guys who did the construction on it were the same dudes' parties that I went to on Friday night. So a little full circle there. The first gay guy I ever met, and his brother, who was my close friend actually growing up. We were good buddies. So anyway, what else, man? Then Saturday was Christmas Eve. I got up and did a yoga class. Didn't want to do that. Oh, miserable in there. Saw this beautiful girl that I knew from growing up in my hometown. She bought me a coffee. And I drank it slowly, bruh. I'll tell you that, dude. I drank that coffee slow, baby boy. Drip, drip. You want to talk about that slow drip, man? I let it just, Take control, I want your spirit. So that was cool. Went to the yoga class. Then it was Saturday, man. It was Saturday, and I came back to Baton Rouge, and I went up to Natchez, Mississippi. I don't know if you ever been up to Natchez, Mississippi, but I mean, it is very, it is just almost, I don't want to say slave times up there, but it is a deep south, pretty just black and white city, like most southern cities are just, kind of black and white, or have been for a long time as far as the main two ethnicities. So that's what you see there. But this one, I mean, whereas in Natchez, you see, I mean, it's just like, I mean, the white people act like it's 100 years ago, and the black people act like it's 100 years. Like, you'll have black people that talk to you like you're, like I'm just, walking into Walmart, doing some last minute, cheaper Christmas shopping. And, you'll meet a black guy who talks like he's an indentured servant. Like, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, everybody's got to evolve in this town, Everybody's got to evolve here, So that was baffling, You got a guy pop out of the bush. He's like, you got any news from the north? I'm like, dude, you guys been free for 100 years. Let's get out of here. But that was fun, man. I had a good time catching up with some family. I used to work on a farm up there. I used to be a farmer. I remember. I worked on a farm. Soybean, cotton, corn. Driving tractor. Hauling seed, killing snakes. Growing up, I had a buddy in my town. He loved hunting snakes. He was tough, too. One of the toughest kids in our town, but he had a lisp. And then when he'd be like, I'm going to hunt me some snakes. And he was saying snakes, but he couldn't say it. But you couldn't look at him like he couldn't say it. Because he would whoop your ass. He would whoop your ass. So you know how hard it is to hunt snakes and not be able to laugh? Unbelievable. Unbelievable, dude. Those snakes. We're going to get these snakes. Crazy times. So spent some time up there in Mississippi. Had a great time, actually, just catching up. My buddy used to work on a farm up there, whose farm I used to work on. He died. He died a while back, man.
good guy. A lot of people in my life died. You know, they did. People just, you know, I guess I'm just a good luck charm. But, yeah. But actually, we'll switch. Actually, we're going to switch songs right here. A little more George Michael, dead at 53. Very sad, man. This one hit me. You know, you don't know who's going to hit you. This one hit me, man. Remember this? Man, father figure. But that makes me think of my buddy whose farm I worked on. The guy was like a father figure to me, man. He was, and he passed away. He's got a family up there now in Natchez. So anyway, I was spending time with them, and we shared a lot of great stories. Dude, I'll tell you one story. They had this guy, Ronnie. Oh no, Johnny. He was the yard man, right? This brother. Big afro brother, you know, and he was the yard man. He came and, you know, tended to the yard and took care of the yard. This was, you know, 15, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Maybe more, 25. But Johnny would come, and he had the biggest afro. Well, one weekend, Johnny was painting the fence around the swimming pool, you know. And so we're out there because a lot of sparrows, in the springtime, a lot of sparrows, if you had long hair or big hair, or if you had you know, something flashy in your hair like a bow or like a spinner bait. Maybe that got caught up in your head trap, you know, because some of the girls in these rural areas would wear a little spinner bait in their hair, you know, trying to catch a man. That was kind of the idea. But Big Johnny was out there, and he was very Rubenesque, this guy. I mean, he was always sweating, you know. He could be in the freezer section at the Piggly Wiggly and still be just perspiring. So Big Johnny get out there and he's painting this fence, you know, and it was just each fence was just a 2x2 boards all the way around this fence, and he was painting it, a picket fence around the swimming pool. But he's come in the house and he said, "Hey now," he said, "they got these two tennis rackets here, badminton rackets actually. You know badminton rackets? All wand, no racket, you know? Give me some fucking racket. What am I supposed to do with the badminton? Flip eggs? That thing is a piece of shit. Give me a racket. You know? That's the kind of guy I am. I bring a tennis racket to a badminton match, dude. You know? So, anyway, we're out there. Ronnie the Sparrows was attacking his hair. They probably had 400 sparrows in the area attacking his hair because he had this big, beautiful afro. You know, that was, I mean, you know, and they think that's nesting material. So they're flying down. Me and one of the kids, we're fending them off. So we're out there just, you know, this is our U.S. Open out here. We're out here just beating sparrows, you know, trying to beat them out of a man's hair. You know? And I'm no Olympian, dude, but I've beaten some sparrows out of an afro. That's for damn sure. In 95-degree heat in Mississippi, you better be damn sure I have, man. Because I'm not afraid to look for a father figure. Moving on, yeah. So that was that. That was that. What else, man? We moved on. That was that was back in Natchez. We had a good time there Saturday night. Did Christmas Eve there. And that was beautiful, man. We went to church on Saturday. That was really nice. But honestly, I got angry in church, man. The band was too loud. They got 19 musicians on the stage. I'm in church. I don't need this. I need a woman up there singing. That's what I want. Give me some Hallelujah. Give me some Silent Night. Holy night. They had 7-inch, 4 guitars, a dude in a drum set behind a big cage in like a aquarium. So what is going on here? And it's a small church, but it wanted to be like a mega church. I don't know. I love the church. The church was actually awesome. The music, but I let it get to me. So then I'm there. I'm agitated. That's my fault. I let it get to me. I'm agitated. So then I'm the grumpy dude in church, scoffing at people. Start looking around. I can't believe she wore that. Just bad. So things got weird there. What else? I spoke to one of the drunkest guys I've ever talked to this weekend, man. That's always alarming when a guy's just so drunk. He's telling you 9 different stories at once. He's treating you like a friend one second, then an enemy the next. Just too much, Drinking's for children, that's what I say, man. Drinking's for children. What else, man? Still good. Had a good time, man. Woke up on, did Christmas Eve there in Mississippi. Had a great time. Woke up, still masturbation free. I'm still on the no masturbation train. No pornography. No pornography for me. God, thank God no George Michael was playing on Christmas Eve. I can't even stay unerect during that, So, yep, we did that. Christmas Day, drove down, saw my nieces and nephews here in Baton Rouge. They're beautiful, they're funny. They're kids. I mean, they're kids, man, they're great. And then I went to my hometown. Decided to go to my old neighborhood, man. Drove into my old neighborhood where I grew up, McGee Street, there in Covington, Louisiana. I mean, that place, a lot of negative. That's where I caught the school bus, dude, when I used to listen to this man, the man. Understand me. Oh, this song got me, too. It can be. Father figure. I didn't have one growing up, man, so I needed one. And so when that song came on, it resonated in me. It kind of made my emotions erect. Just fully erect here listening to George Michael. Not now, but back then. But yeah, nobody in my neighborhood had a father figure. So I went back to visit the old neighborhood. I parked in my mother's old parking spot. My mom drove a Ford Festiva. Used to deliver newspapers and magazines out of that thing, bruh. She liked a Ford Festiva. That's a little bitty car. Looked like a roller skate, Looked like somebody knocked up a roller skate. My mother drove that. She had to have a car that she could drive and beat us in at the same time, bruh. We could have all 4 of us in that car. And she could hit from the driver's seat. She could successfully whoop all of our asses. And we deserved it too, probably. 95% of the time. She wouldn't have had to do it if we would have had a father figure. So I visited the old neighborhood, man. I parked my car. I had a lot of negative feelings from that neighborhood. I had some good stuff too. We had a good time. I mean, it was an American neighborhood. We played football, and there was, we played in the backyard. We played in the street. That's when you were kids. When you played in the street, that was a real neighborhood. We'd go down to the church parking lot and play. You could hear other kids getting beaten if their windows were open in their houses. People got their ass whooped. Couple of pedophiles in a neighborhood, they'd stop by and give you that card. They got to let you know they had the law in Louisiana. If you're a pedophile, you got to stop by. Introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Mark. I'm new in the area. Not by choice. A lot of them got signed up. I think halfway houses and stuff, they were in our neighborhoods and stuff like that. People in recovery, people trying to make themselves better. I think that's a tough thing to beat, though, that rap. But yeah, we used to play kickball with a couple of pedophiles in our neighborhood. Just throw the ball, Larry. You're not getting this ass, you know? Because once you knew they were pedophiles, everybody was off the hook. You know, it was when you didn't know they could trick you. But yeah, it was a hectic neighborhood, you know. Family down the street, shirtless, the whole family shirtless. 0 shirts. If you're thinking about a shirt right now, you're wrong. A couple of Elvis impersonators in the area, you know. But anyway, I parked my car, I got out, and I just started walking down the block, man. You know, I'm a nostalgia hunter. I love nostalgia. So I'm walking down the block, looking at the houses and the apartments and stuff where we used to live. Walked up to my old apartment that I used to live in. I almost knocked on the door. I don't know what I was going to say, though. At first I was going to be like, I used to live here. But I didn't have a secondary sentence. I didn't have a backup plan. But then I got by the door and I saw they had some little rebel flags in the window. That's not my life. So, and not that those people are bad people, you know. When you're poor, you just, you know, everybody wants an emblem, you know. When you're rich, you might wear Mercedes-Benz earrings or something like that. You know, people relate to what they got, you know, what they have or whatever. So I'm not judging those people, but I just felt like this isn't, you know, I don't want to get shot. Shit, I got on a nice shirt, you know. I got on a button-up. I don't want to scare anybody around here. You know, if I come across another young man who doesn't have a father figure in your eyes, in my size. Is it in my size? Say in my size there. So anyway, I walked around the neighborhood. Then I was getting back in my car. I was going to leave because somebody started yelling. Two people were fighting about a parking spot. There's 1 million parking spots. People are fighting because there's nobody. I mean, you can park anywhere in this shithole. And it was a shithole. I'm not saying that negatively. It's, you know, I mean, it was just, that's what it was. You know, it was an impoverished neighborhood. But then I walked up to some people there and I just said hello. Hey, what's up? And we started chatting. I didn't know them, but they lived in the area now. We chatted for about 20 minutes, took a picture together. So I kind of reconnected a little bit. You know, it reminded me a little bit of the past, so it was good. I love nostalgia, man, going to visit the past. I love that kind of stuff. What else? Reading in the news today, they're not talking about Russia anymore. Thank God, Russia? Really? Fuck the news, bro. They want to talk about fake news. It's all fake news. CNN, MSNBC, all of it, it's all bullshit. It's all advertising. Freedom of the press, I'm fine, but not this way. These people are just scaring everybody every day. Look at the front page every day. Any combination of words they can have to scare us. I don't believe any of that bullshit. It's sad. I used to love CNN. I used to love their website. I would go there for news, but now it's just all hate. It's all hatred, you know? I just don't get it. Russia. Really, Russia's coming? What is Russia going to do? Russia? They're still using our old blenders from 40 years ago. They're still eating straight cornmeal. Straight. Not mixed with water. They're not... Come on, come on. Really? The kids are playing with stone dolls over there. Dolls made out of stone. Idiots. I can't buy that. Scaring people, man. You know, and then they had giraffes may disappear. That was an article today. Animals are becoming extinct. You know? And then everything on there is against Trump, which is fine, you know, if they want to. But they wouldn't do that to, you know, other presidents. The guy's the fucking president. Oh, well. Quit crying. You know, if Hillary's the president, no matter who it is, quit crying. Move on. What are you going to do? Live in the past? Quit crying. But giraffes may disappear, and frogs too. That's what it said. Giraffes may be extinct, ... and frogs too. Really? Frogs? Bro, I'm in South Louisiana right now. I open the front door. You can see 9 frogs, bro. 9 frogs from the front door. You want a frog? You want a sample? Dude, I'll get 2 of them to make love in the front yard, and I'll solve that problem right here. Frogs ain't disappearing. You're out of your fucking mind. The news is out of their mind. I don't believe any of it. I believe people that I trust. That's what I believe. People that I trust, and I believe my own instincts, and I believe what I see and feel with my own eyes and heart. I'm not an idiot. Yeah, there's stuff you can learn. You know, you can expand your mind, but don't listen to these news. They're selling the advertising. They're Johnson & Johnson. They're selling Charmin commercials. Anybody that's selling you something, they got a motive. Freedom of the press. I wish they'd shut these assholes up. I'm just sick of it. Because it's not news, it's just fear. They're inciting fear. You know? The world isn't as bad as it is, as they say it is. You know? I don't know. I try to stay off it, but the problem is we're addicted. We're addicted to to absorbing all of this. I don't know how to beat that. I'm going to start working on it, I think. I hope. But yeah, George Michael, gone, bro. God, that father figure. Who's next, though? Who do you think's next, dude? Somebody said Steven Tyler this morning. No way. No way, Steven. That guy will live forever, huh? Steven Tyler? No, I can't sing. Whatever. Natalie Merchant, huh? I don't even know who that is. Lil Wayne, he's been having seizures. Lil Wayne's been having seizures, guys. He's got adult asthma. He could be out. Who's next, huh? One of the Marley brothers, Ziggy, Snappy, huh? Smokey. You gotta think, dude, that much weed, that much relaxation, you could easily catch something that could kill you. George Michael died. I think he said it was heart failure. You know, it makes you wonder. Drugs could have been. All right, and we're back. The battery died on the recorder. I think it's a sign that maybe it's time to shut it down. But yeah, they said frogs and giraffes extinct. Fucking giraffes, bruh. Talk about an animal that slid by solely on its looks. Name one thing a giraffe has ever done. There's never even been a show like where they did, you know, like every animal like usually has a TV show where like they had Lassie, they had the one with the dolphins, they had, you know, where they help out, where they save the day. Giraffes never had that fucking, they just don't have that, giraffe ain't saving the fucking day. They're not, giraffes, no animal has slid by on its awkward looks more than giraffes, bro. More than giraffes. I'm trying to think of somebody to compare them to. You know? Somebody that, you know, has like an awkward or unique look, and that's what gets them through. That's it. You know? I can't think of anybody at the moment. What else? I'm doing the, New Year's Eve, I'm doing Amy Schumer's show in New Orleans. Here in my home city. I was going to go back home to Los Angeles, but I'm staying here in Louisiana. I'm going to do that as far as I know. And what else? Fucking giraffes, though. Really? Look at them. Look at them. With the spots and the neck that never ends. I mean, what do you try to put them in a headlock? It could take you 45 minutes, bro. Think about that. You got to use your whole body to put them in a headlock. Because you got to get them around the neck. You know? Giraffes. Doing those long I don't like them. I guess I don't like them. I didn't know I didn't like them really till just now. When I'm really bringing it up. Who's going to die, though? Who's the next celebrity to go? I know it's dark, but who's the next one to go, huh? Who's the next one to go? I think, honestly, I hate to say it, it's going to be the Golden Girl. It's going to be Betty White. I think Betty White's next. I felt it last year. I'd have put money on it. I would have put money on it. But I didn't, you know? I didn't. Maybe Russia will kill her, huh? Wonder if that's going to be a news story. Russia tries to kill Betty White. Fucking news. Eat a can of snake dicks. Anyway, that's about it, man. I'm going to shut it down. That's what I did this past weekend. But I want to, you know, Merry Christmas to everybody. You know, I hope you guys had a good one. If you didn't, it's probably your fault. You know, that's what I'm starting to learn. If I'm not having a good time, it's probably my fault. I got to either get myself into a different environment or I got to change my perspective a little bit. Because in the end, we're kind of responsible for, you know, how we feel, you know, or how we, you know, how we let ourselves feel. I think that's maybe a better way to say it. But anyway, man, Happy holidays to everybody. The next one will be in the new year. You know, this comes out in the Monday morning. I'll fill you in on what happened this past weekend. I got upcoming shows Virginia Beach and then in Chicago. You can find them on theovon.com. Also have my shirts on there, the brush shirts. We got the new album coming. If you want to do some art, hit me up about that. And just keep trying, huh? Just keep trying. That's all you can do. Don't give up, huh? I don't know why I'm talking like a, I don't fucking know, dude. But I'm going to go play with my nieces and nephews. I'm just happy to be here. You guys have a good one, man. And R.I.P. George Michael. God. And I'm not even going to play the music again. I'm just going to sing a little bar for you right here. Yeah, I don't need you, won't need you, no lie. Don't need no Bible, just look in my eyes. You waited so long, baby, now that I can't take much more. This is right, I want you. He was kind of the white Michael Jackson, a little bit. He was a little bit like the white Michael Jackson. And he was, I will be your father figure, put your tiny ass in my, I will be your preacher, creature, anything you had in time. I'll see you guys next Monday, man. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I don't know if I did, but you know what it was. Be good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jonathan Kite, and welcome to Kite Club, a podcast where I'll be sharing thoughts on things like current events, stand-up stories, and 7 ways to pleasure your partner. The answer may shock you. Sometimes I'll interview my friends. Sometimes I won't. And as always, I'll be joined by the voices in my head.
You have 3 new voice messages.
A lot of people are talking about Kite Club. I've been talking about Kite Club for so long, longer than anybody else. So great. Hey, sweetheart, here's Theo. Anyone who doesn't listen to Kite Club is a dodgy bloody wanker. Do you know what I mean?
Hi, I'll take a quarter pounder with cheese and a McFlurry.
Sorry, sir, but our ice cream machine is broken.
No!
I think Tom Hanks just butt-dialed me. Anyway, first rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Second rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Third rule, like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch us on YouTube, yeah? And yes, don't worry, my Brad Pitt impression will get better.